Hi guys, sorry, this is Günther from Pax Europiana, the podcast about peace in Europe, and hi to my friends in Serbia, in European Serbia. You know, I just released an episode about the 9th of March and the student protests of 91 in Serbia, and it is very touching to remember all these heroes and this great effort which unfortunately failed. The effort for European Serbia and to really stop Milosevic already back then. And imagine one moment, if Milosevic would have been toppled back in 91, how many people would be still alive? How many wars would be avoided? And it was the students of Serbia and the European Serbia who really were so close, and they were fighting, they were protesting the whole 91 and 92 against these terrible atrocities of Milosevic. And imagine a better world would have been possible, but it was not to be. It's a tragedy. But I would like to also say there is a lot of good European Serbian people, you know, the middle classes, the students, the academia. It's not true that everybody is for genocidal kind of disaster and for endorsing these wars in Kosovo, Bosnia, Croatia, Slovenia. No, there is a lot of really great Europeans and great personality, not only for Greater Serbia, but for the great European dream of Serbia to be a normal European member of NATO, of EU with the Euro. I know they are there. The majority of the Serbians think like this. Unfortunately, the last 30 years, and before obviously also tragically, Serbia was always controlled by a small elite of nationalists who can corner the political system and control the leverages of power, the media, the big state companies, the political apparatus, and always have also the tools of coercion via the football fans, via the mafia group, to bow everybody into submission. But, you know, even under that conditions, basically the Serbian middle classes are in constant revolt since 91 against this kind of terrible genocidal philosophy. And they have been in 91, in 92, in 93, in 96, in 97, in 2000, and then after the terrible deed of assassination of their own prime minister, there was constant revolution, protest and uproar in the Serbian middle classes against the occupation regime of the nationalists, which are basically occupying them and misusing them with this kind of genocidal narrative which they always try to promote, this kind of land-grabbing kind of philosophy of chasing everybody who is non-Serb of the lands which they claim to have a historic possession of. I mean, this is so outrageous. And most of the Serbs don't think so. They want to be European, but then they leave. They come to Vienna, they come to Munich, they come to New York, and they're always very successful because it's a great people, it's a great thinkers and good engineers and philosophers, and you know there's amazing people coming from that people and region. But unfortunately as well there comes some evil, and it has not been defeated. And we in Austria and in Germany had the same kind of history, and we luckily with American help we could defeat the evil which was coming from our region, but in Serbia it's still popping up always, and that's the tragedy. And when I think about the 9th of March and the student heroes who have protested so often and then ultimately toppled Milosevic in the third effort, if I say 1991 2, and then 96 7, and then 2000. This was the third effort and it worked. But unfortunately the forces of evil were so successful, beating back so hard, and since then also with the help of Russia, and this kind of evil side of Serbia has kept the power leverages under control to this day. And I hope for the spirit of the 9th of March to be strong this week and in every other 9th of March, that this kind of European Serbia is strong and will one day take the power again. I was also maybe purposeful optimistic that Mr. Vucic will be on the side of the good, on the side of the light, but it has turned out not to be. It's a big disappointment and it's a tragedy. So there needs to be a government change in Serbia towards a more pro-European government, And in order to achieve that, I think we shall have to integrate Kosovo, Bosnia in the EU and in NATO and in the Euro, in the case of Bosnia, very fast. And then basically Serbia will be isolated at the one small state which is not in NATO, in the EU and in the Euro. And I think that will be maybe sparking a kind of rethinking in the Serbian population, and the middle classes will no longer endorse this kind of regime. And that's my strategy, and that's what I call for. We have to fast track Kosovo's future into NATO, EU, and it has already the Euro, luckily, and Bosnia as well, in order to make sure, and all others as well, actually. Also, I have made the case very often already that Macedonia and Albania and Montenegro need to be very fast in the European Union as well, and Albania and Macedonia to be Euroized. And so basically the only one with the dinner, the only one outside NATO, the only one with a frozen candidate status together with Turkey will be Serbia. And maybe that will lead to some rethinking and give the Serbian middle classes the opportunity to change towards pro-European Serbia and leave this Russian-backed nationalistic Greater Serbia genocidal thinking behind. That I think is absolutely necessary. And I call for that. And I hope there will be wisdom in the coming days and weeks in Brussels to make this decision, freeze the EU candidate status of Serbia in response to its blatant pro-Russian positions, and then also to speed up the Kosovo's NATO accession and the EU candidate status for both Bosnia and Serbia, Euroization of Bosnia, and then also mutual recognition as part of this Bosnian-Kosovo dialogue, which I call for. And then also under that conditions, once Kosovo is also in the Council of Europe, we can restart with the dialogue. But I think that is the much better strategy to also support the Serbian people, the middle class, the people of the pro-Serbian direction, who unfortunately we have not supported at all in the last 30 years. And it's now 30 years actually already since 91. And it was possible a better world without Milosevic already back then. But always, this kind of divided narrative in Western Europe has led us to our failed policy not to confront Milosevic for too long. And so many people have died. Yes, that's my proposal for European Serbia. And every 9th of March, think about the brave students, the pro-European students of Serbia, and their courage to fight against Milosevic already that early on. And would they have succeeded, we would have a lot of people's life would have been saved. Anyhow, it was not to be, but a European Serbia definitely will be, but it might take some time. But we can do little for that if there's no understanding there. But what we can do, everything for European Kosovo and for European Bosnia. And that's what we should do. And we should do it very fast. Okay, regards from Vienna for peace. Thanks a lot.